Hello, and welcome to Books and the World, a production of the Cape Cod Writers Center, now in its 40th year. I'm Ray Cormier, and I hope you feel energetic today, because my guest is Michael Wood, a longtime renowned professional trainer and nutritional coach, who is also the author of TBC 30, 6 Steps to a Stronger, Healthier You. Good to see you, Michael.
Welcome. Nice.
You're now living in East Sandwich.
Yes, made the move.
Okay, welcome to the Cape.
Thank you.
But you've had a long career in fitness training in and around Boston area mostly.
Correct.
Could you take us a little bit through that?
Sure. So I started actually many moons ago. Back in 1988, I worked at a studio in Cambridge, and was fortunate enough to get into the personal training when it wasn't really that big in the early 80s, mid 80s. And ever since I've been doing it, but started off in Cambridge, did that for about 10 years there. And then I went into my own studio in Harvard Square in Cambridge. I had a studio in Boston also. Was fortunate enough to have that, and trained different clients at the studio, at their home, and kind of built up a good following, built up a good staff, and continue to do that for the next 20 years. So I've been fortunate enough to have my own studio, work at different locations, different gyms around Boston, and was a strength coach at the University of Connecticut. We talked about that. So this whole, last 3 decades, if you will, different facets of the fitness industry.
Great. Would you say you have a particular philosophy about fitness? And if so, has that changed over the course of your career?
Sure, great question. Yeah, I think my philosophy is basically trying to work with, when I work with people, and my own personal philosophy is basically to try to get the most bang for the buck. If I know I have 30 minutes with you or an hour with you, what can we do, or what can I do personally in those 30 minutes to get maximal results in minimal time? So my philosophy is all about high intensity interval training, circuit training on the strength side, HIIT on the cardio side, to maximize calorie burn and have a real good efficient workout.
Okay, and how much of that has evolved and changed over the, say, the last decade or so?
It's basically the same thing. Things have different covers, different shades of whatever. Things change somewhat, but for the most part, it's the same thing.
Okay.
And you just have different research that comes out. HIIT's big right now, back into the news, and there's a lot of research coming out on the effectiveness of high intensity interval training. So minimal bouts of exercise with short duration and repeated a few times has been shown great results, and that's what I do with a lot of my clients.
Has there been, has the idea of increasing and in later years maintaining strength, has there been a little more stress on that in recent years?
Yes, I actually was fortunate enough to work for about 5.5 years at Tufts Research Center on Aging in Boston. And as an exercise physiologist there, we did groundbreaking research with aging and exercise. And the number one thing we would tell people, the most important thing, strength training. It's really the fountain of youth when you think of it.
Right.
I'm in my mid to late 50s now, and I've done it my whole life. And I know as a physiologist that we're losing at about half a pound or two per year, about 5 to 8 pounds per decade of muscle. So we have to offset that. And the only way you do that, you don't do that by walking, you do that by strength training to offset that.
Good. Now, let's go to the book.
Sure.
You're about to publish, I believe, an expanded second edition of TBC 30,
That's
correct?
Right.
What have you added and why?
It's a great question, thank you. The first book came out in November 2017. It was just a self-published book. A lot of my ideas, a lot of my notes on coaching for the past 30 years. We've taken that, and with the second edition, with the help of Kay Conway, an author here in Cape Cod, and we've blown that out a little bit to add about 150 pages. So the second edition is more in depth, deeper on the exercise and nutrition piece. TBC 30 is basically diet and exercise strategy, and we've added different topics on strength, nutrition, wellness, and mindset in the new book.
So, first question is, what does TBC 30 stand for?
Great. That stands for Total Body Conditioning. So it's a full body workout. 30 is 30 days or 30 minutes. So my research and during my career has basically been with what can you do in 30 minutes to get the most benefit in terms of cardiovascular, strength training, and that is in the book. So it's TBC, is Total Body Conditioning. It's a 30-day plan, 30 minutes most days of the week.
Okay. But it really is much more than a 30-day plan. It can continue and be expanded.
Exactly. This is basically phase one. This is a 4-week plan, and it's no quick fix or no gimmick. It takes time. People don't put on weight in a matter of weeks or a year. It takes a lot of time to put weight on. It takes time to lose muscle. And if you want to offset that and change your body and the way you look and feel, you have to put the time in. So this is basically phase one.
Very good. And yet it's meant to be an efficient use of time.
Correct. Okay. This has been my cumulative experience, 30 years of working with clients, how to get the most out of that time in 30 minutes.
Good. All right, so let's take a few minutes and go over the 6 steps of your program.
Sure.
As it in the title.
Okay.
The first 2 seem to happen even before any exercising begins.
And they're critical.
The first one, step 1, is you say is change your mindset.
Yep.
You preach that a fitness program requires, quote, a commitment to change mindset. So it seems to me you're seeking a mind over matter approach?
In so many words, yes. I mean, people will just jump in, you exercise, you know what it's like. People just jump into a program sometimes and they don't really, it's not the best time in their life to start the program. So I just tell my clients, or if I'm working with someone online coaching them, or if it's a reader in the book or a private client, is this the right time that you can commit 4 weeks to get started? And this is a lifelong thing you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, but we want to make sure so you have the best chance of success that during these 4 weeks you're going to have the time and the focus to do it. You're not traveling as much, the kids are maybe set, and you're putting the focus on, so you have to be in the right mindset. And a lot of people just are not in the right mindset when they begin a program, and 50-60% of those people right off the bat are going to fail.
Are there any psychological tricks to help people do that? What do you think?
There's definitely some little tricks of the trade that I use with clients, but it's basically just first finding out that person, their mindset. Is it a fixed mindset that they're really not going to change what they're used to doing in terms of past nutrition, diet, or are they more into adopting a growth mindset? Where it's a great book by Stanford psychologist Carolyn Dweck, and she is a PhD, and she wrote a great book that I mentioned in my book, and she talks about that, and I try to kind of feel people out where they are and give them some different tips on that, but it's basically kind of learning what that person has done in the past in terms of their mindset and where they currently are, and going from there.
Good. And step 2 is you say perform a needs assessment.
So,
You put a lot of stress on measuring where you're starting from, and so that you can a baseline,
yep,
so that you can continue to see how you're doing during the program.
Sure. This is something that people typically don't do. With my clients, they have to do some form or fashion, some type of an assessment. And what that could mean, it could be a strength assessment, it could be something on the nutrition side, like watching your added sugar, it could be a multitude, something on the cardiovascular side, but something that allows us to get a baseline measurement of where you are in terms of your strength, your cardiovascular fitness, maybe your flexibility, your mobility. There's a ton of different things. We give 10 different examples in the book, and we talk about those. And there are some really good things, and you and I have talked about one of them, the waist to hip ratio, and that's a simple waist to hip measurement using something like this, a Gulick tape measure that can go around the waist and the hip, and you can divide those into each other. There's a lot of research showing people with high waist to hip ratios have an increased chance of different disease and cardiovascular issues. So we look at that, and sometimes people don't see changes with weight on a scale when they start an exercise program, but they'll see changes with their body measurements if you know enough to take it. And we recommend that.
Yeah.
Waist to hip and waist to height.
So the idea of waist to hip is that your waist should be no bigger than your hips, is that correct?
Yes, but there's also dives a little bit deeper. For men, you want to basically be around 0.85 to 0.90 if you divide waist into hip, and women are a little bit different. So in the book we talk about that. We actually have charts that talk about that. So you take those measurements, see where you fit into the baseline, and then at the end of 4 weeks you take the waist hip measurement again. We show you how to take it. You can have your spouse take it, or you can take it yourself with a Gulick tape measure, which is a spring-loaded device, and you can track that over time. It is really important to know your waist-hip ratio, or maybe your different, maybe your body fat, or whatever assessment that you'd like to use. But we've got to make sure that you focus on some type of before and after.
Very good. And you think that's the If you
That's
can't
key.
do too many of these measurements, that's perhaps the best one to
Yes,
start with?
I recommend that for everybody. I also recommend some basic strength tests in the book, maybe a cardiovascular fitness test, but if you can't do any of that, by far the most important thing, more than just checking your body weight, is a waist-hip ratio.
All right, now steps 3 and 4 are really where you get into the exercise routine. Number 3, you just title it Get Moving. And you quote Hippocrates as saying, walking is a man's best medicine.
It sure is.
Sort of implies to me that if you can at least get people to walk more, even if they don't complete or do the whole program,
Exactly.
it will offer them many benefits.
Without a doubt, that we are becoming we are. We're a society of inactivity right now. More and more people are inactive, they're sedentary. The average person's doing what we're doing right now, sitting about 9 hours a day. I know I have a standing desk at home or at the office. I'm up standing most of the time at my computer. And we are this society that sits. We drive to and from work 30 minutes each way. And when you add it up, you're like, wow, I'm sitting 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So walking, if you can get out for a quick walk at lunch, if you have conference calls, take it outside for a walk or walk around the office, little things like that, the cumulative effect of all these little things, but we'll see changes in body composition and energy levels, but the most important thing, just get up and move a little bit. And we talk about that, just move more. And we talk about how technology can help you wearing a Fitbit or a watch to kind of help hold you a little more accountable.
You mentioned in several places in the book about suggesting rather the use of new technology, apps and the like. Why do you think those are so helpful?
I think honestly, it's not for everybody, but everybody's on their phone. And I forget what the numbers are, but a large percentage of the population, adult and younger, are on a phone all day. So there are different apps that you can use on different technologies that can just basically help hold you a little more accountable and check in. I like to tell people, you don't own something until you write it down. So I'm always pulling out my phone on Notepad and writing down different stats about what I'm doing during the day, how much water I'm drinking, how much sleep I'm getting, how much exercise. I'm trying to get people to move about 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise each week. And you got to record that somewhere. Otherwise you don't see the progression or good weeks and bad weeks. And that's just going to help you hold you a little more accountable and help you reach your goals in a safer and effective fashion.
And 150 minutes isn't a terribly
That's 30
great amount of
minutes
time, so
About 30 minutes a day.
most people could do this.
Yes.
Now step 4 is get stronger.
Oh, that's a big one.
And here's the big one, right? I would think.
Yes.
I mean, you stress that even geezers like me.
I wouldn't call you a geezer, but yeah.
Thank you, but like me need to work on building muscle.
Yes. Because you're losing muscle.
I'm losing it as I age.
You're losing
naturally.
about half a pound a year, so that's about 5. I even say sometimes the research shows about 5 to 8 pounds of metabolically active muscle each decade. So me in my 50s, where you are, as we get older, we're going to continue to lose that unless we do something about it to offset that or to retard that process. And strength training is that key.
And it helps just living everyday life, right? I mean,
Functionality.
as you get older,
Sure, you got to be functional. You got to maintain functionality.
strength helps with things like balance,
Yep.
which can help prevent falls,
Bingo.
things like that.
Getting
right?
up and down stairs, getting in and out of a car, lifting that heavy luggage into the plane. You know, basic things. It's very, very important.
Okay. So can you summarize, let's go over the workout regime.
Sure.
Give us a few minutes of
Sure.
this. Now, let me summarize as best I understand it, and please correct me and
Sure.
go on. Basically, you're suggesting 3 days of exercises, then a day of rest.
Correct.
And then 3 more, a day of rest, et cetera, for 30 days.
Correct. 3-day, 1-day off cycle, we call it, yes.
And please go over these. These days of exercise are a mix of strength and cardio training.
Yes.
Stressing short, intense periods of activity.
Right.
Sometimes as little as 15 minutes at a time.
Sure, research shows
Okay.
it's very valuable.
So tell us how. Why don't you take us through a typical
day.
a typical week?
Yep.
What you would suggest.
I will do that. I'm working with a client right now online. I'm coaching her, and she is from Chicago. And what I have her do is I check in with her each week. She's familiar with the program because she had the book sent out to her. She read the book, and she's following the program. And her program looks like this. And I don't go Monday through Sunday. I just call them day 1 through day 7 because people are doing different things and traveling or whatnot, and their schedules get hectic.
Sure.
On day 1, we're going to have a strength day. So what that means is that she's going to do a series of exercises found in the book and on my website. There's actually a QR code in the book that you can take a picture of it with your phone. It takes you to my website, michaelwoodfitness.com, and you can see all the videos of the exercises, how to perform them correctly. But she'll do a sequence of exercises, and I'm really not, believe it or not, too concerned with the exercises. I'm more concerned with that she's getting specific movements. We call movement patterns each time she works out. Things like a squat, a lunge. Is she pulling something? Is she pushing something? Is she carrying something? Is she lifting something? And these are obviously exercises, but I categorize them in those movement patterns. For example, in the squat, someone might do a medicine ball where they hold a medicine ball and they up and down, they do a squat, or they might hold a kettlebell and they hold the kettlebell here and they do a squat that way. That would be under the squat category. Or someone might do different variations of lunges. That's under the lunge. Or maybe a push-up or a bench press. That's in the push phase. So you can start to see that these 6 different movement patterns are real critical, and I know that, and I want her to do that. So she's going to follow that on day 1 of her strength program.
And it doesn't matter that you have a
body weight
full
or
weight set or circuit
you could do this with
training
your
available?
you could do most of this with your body weight, or if you just had dumbbells, or if you went to the gym, or if you were traveling and you went to the hotel at the particular place you were staying. It usually has enough equipment to do this.
Okay, good. And
So following a strength
ahead.
day, then we're going to go into a cardio day. And cardio, I typically recommend 15 minutes. Again, this isn't a leisurely walk for 15 minutes. You're doing that throughout the week. We're trying to put a Fitbit or some type of pedometer on someone to get people, as one of the steps recommended, to move more. We want people to build up their steps to 8,500 or 10,000 steps a week. But in addition, we want people to do specific cardio sessions in the book called HIIT sessions, which is high intensity interval training, about 2 times a week, and then a basic cardio session another time for about 20 minutes. And this is all laid out in the book. It can be done on a treadmill, on elliptical, you can go jog outside, you can swim, you can do like what I do, a Concept 2 erg, a rowing machine. It can be done on any type of equipment. So it's a strength, a cardio day, and then you'll come back and do another strength day, and then you'll have a day off, take a break, and then you repeat this sequence. Okay. So in a week, you're getting 3 strength, 3 cardio with some time off.
And what's the theory behind the high intensity interval training?
So there's a lot of research out right now by different researchers all over the country and in Canada. They're doing a lot of research in Canada talking about this HIIT training. And HIIT is basically where, if you're on a treadmill, rather than just going through the motions at a slow speed on a treadmill, the person would warm up efficiently, and then they'd pick up the intensity, probably with a light jog, and then they'd pick up that intensity a little bit faster for a certain period of time, do that, and then recover. So what they're doing is mixing bouts of intense exercise with recovery, maybe walking. So in a 15-minute workout, they would get more maximal effort in a treadmill or a bike or an elliptical machine than they would if they just went for a casually walk on that treadmill. So it's going to elevate the heart rate, elevate respiration. They're going to burn more calories, and more importantly, they're going to burn more calories post-exercise. That's called EPOC. And collectively, that could help someone lose more weight over time.
So those short periods of intense workout and resting,
repeated.
Research is showing that is good, better for the heart.
Without a doubt, on all types of populations. That they're looking at people with cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes. All types of people can do this, but they just want to check with somebody who at their gym or a fitness expert who understands that and can maybe help guide them through that.
Very good. Now what about cardio work? I mean, in terms of yours are a little bit different than others I've heard of, in that you call for 3 different types of exercises, correct?
Right, correct. So these are basically different types of HIIT sessions, and there's also an interval session. I don't want people to come in and just get out on a treadmill and just start walking, and where they could easily talk.
Trying to just
go through the motions.
At the same pace for 30 or 40 minutes.
I'm not going to say you're going to waste your time, because if you're new to exercise, any movement is good, and I want that. But over time, the body needs a new stimulus, and this type of workout has been shown to give the best results. So we just want you to, where you feel winded, where you have trouble talking if you were working out, that's the level I want to get somebody at. And you want somebody to help you if you're new at this, but at your gym or if you're working with a trainer. But it's going to be so much more beneficial in terms of working the cardiovascular system and burning maximal calories in minimal time. And if you want to change the way you look and feel, and we all do, you have to get to that point where you're sweating, basically, and you're burning so many calories, and HIIT does that.
Now, if we talk about someone who is perhaps a little bit more advanced, say they're a runner,
Sure.
how can you amend your program to help them
Yes.
easily?
Yes.
How would that work?
So they would just work out with a little different intensity, whereas somebody that still warm up before the session, and then their bouts would be just a little more challenging. They'd probably wear a heart rate monitor and just work at a different level of intensity with their training, be it running or maybe their cross training. So it's just dependent on heart rate and cardiovascular fitness, and that can be adapted for anybody.
Very good. Okay. Interestingly, the book points out that you even have that there are things to do on your rest day that could help.
Sure. And a lot of people, we just have a tendency to just not do anything sometimes, and I'm always trying to figure out what we can do on the off day to help recover. The body's being stressed with all this cardiovascular fitness, this HIIT training, the strength training is doing a lot of damage on a microscopic level to the muscle, so we need to recover. Massage is good, hot tubs, hot and cold baths, or something like this. This is a foam roller where I have people roll out for muscle recovery. It's great for tight, stiff muscles. The fascia, which connects your head to toe, it's a connective tissue. Something like that will help alleviate any stiffness or any tension. And that's called a T-pin vector. They make it out of New Hampshire, and I recommend this product. It's a really great product. This can hit every body part on my entire body. I would lie on the floor and roll on this, and that would knead out some of those tight areas.
So it's a different version of the
big
foam
foam
rollers you
roller.
see at most of the gyms.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
It's a little more efficient, and it gets that to those tight trouble areas. But the reason we do this, Ray, is that tight muscles are an accident waiting to happen. Again, what are we doing all day? We're sitting, or we're a runner, and we're pounding, and that trauma to the body, we need to lengthen that tight tissue. And the only way to do that is to foam roll, get a massage, and that is a big thing right now, big topic, mobility.
Great. Let's go to the last two steps of the 6.
Two more to go.
Are really about lifestyle, correct?
Sustainable lifestyle, yes.
Number 5, you say get leaner. This is the part of the book that you get into nutrition.
Big time.
Changing your diet based on quality, not quantity.
Exactly. We don't want people to really, oh my God, I gotta start counting calories and I do all this. It doesn't work. You might want to keep a food journal, which is really good the first few times, maybe 3 to 5 days, you write down what you eat. I recommend an app called MyFitnessPal. Is really good, but what we want people to do is basically follow our 9 steps that we recommend. It's a strategy. These things I've done for 30 years with clients. They've seen great results. Things like just make sure you're drinking more and why you should do that first thing in the morning versus before having your coffee. It increases.
Drinking water.
Yes.
Drinking water.
It drinks, yes, I love coffee. But again, before, we're in that, we got to break that fast. We've been sleeping for 8 hours, and we want to make sure that we replenish the minute we get up with a big glass of water. Research shows that 17 ounces of water will increase that metabolism for the next 3 hours, and that's what we're doing. We're aging, and our metabolism is slowing down, so we want to offset that. So we want to drink plenty of water in the morning before our meals. And we want to make sure that we're getting more protein. We want to make sure that we're getting more, watching our added sugar. And this is all in the book. And we have game plans at the end of each of these steps that tells you what to do. But the nutrition, I can tell you, the biggest piece, if you drew a big pie, 60–70% of this is about nutrition. You can exercise, but if you don't watch what you put in your body and how you fuel your body, good luck.
Yeah. And a bonus that I liked, I'll just mention, is you include a list of foods that are particularly beneficial. I like that.
Top 22 superfoods.
Yeah. All right, and the last step, finally, is get more uninterrupted sleep.
Huge.
Interestingly.
Huge.
It's sometimes not easy, though. You got any tips?
Yeah. So most people sleep in, 6–7 hours. You need to be more in that 8 to 9 hour. I battle with it myself. A good tip, just eliminate screen time before you go to bed. No phone, no computer, no Kindle with the lights and the different things. So read a book would be the best recommendation before you go to bed. Make sure you have.
I must say, my doctor has been telling me the same thing.
I can recommend a couple of good books on that too. But room darkening shades, No bright lights in the room. I put earplugs in. My wife's a good sleeper, but I'm not the best sleeper. So you just got to really kind of set the stage, because if you're not getting the sleep, you're not going to have the energy to work out, do your daily activities of daily living, but you're not going to have the energy to work out on the TPC 30.
Great. This is your first book, correct? Yeah.
I've actually had a couple of programs in other people's books.
Right, mentioned, but you sit down and writing a whole book.
Correct.
So I was just curious, how difficult or easy was it for you?
It's been a long process. I started this actually probably 15 years ago. I was in a couple of books written by two doctors, Cutting Your Cholesterol by Dr. David Katz, and The 30-Minute Solution by Dr. Joanne Manson, who's a professor at Harvard. And I helped them with their book on the exercise, a small little piece of it, and I'm like, I should do a book. And I started doing the book back then. It got shelved, and we kind of took it out, redid it, worked with another person in New York for a year, shelved it again. So it's been a long process. But recently, with the help of Kate Conway, a best-selling author here on Cape Cod, I got the book up and running again. But it has been a labor of love.
And did anything surprise you in the process of writing it or researching it?
Yes. I mean, the research has been going ongoing. And I kind of knew what to do, but it's just the work that, my wife's always saying to me, working on that book again is just so much time and effort that you have to put. And as you know, and if for the writers out there, 20% of the effort is writing the book, but when the book is done, 80% of it is marketing it. So that's a big learning curve for me.
Great. Okay, finally, how can our viewers find the book and learn more about your services?
Sure, thank you. So I have a website, michaelwoodfitness.com. You can check out michaelwoodfitness.com. The book is going to be on Amazon. I actually have a book signing at Titcom's Book in Sandwich on August 2nd. Vicki Titcomb in that group had been phenomenal. So I'd love to meet you there, and I'm going to do a little book signing, as I mentioned. And it's going to be on all the different outlets, Apple, on Amazon, all those different outlets. So if you go to Michael Wood Fitness or Amazon, the book goes on for sale June 14th.
14th, very good. Well, thank you very much for coming in, and good luck with it.
Thank you so much.
You've got me thinking about my lifestyle after reading your book.
All right, good.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to another episode of Books and the World. See you next time. Thank you.